This is Hashi-tributor 101, how to contribute. I am Tracy Holmes. I work on Terraform ecosystem. It is a beginner talk, so some of the stuff you might have heard before, but some of the stuff you might not have. So I'm here speaking because I've been here for a year and I am still scared, as evidenced by the shaking in my hands. I am Tracy P. Holmes across the board. That's GitHub, that is Twitter, and if you can find me elsewhere on social media, let me know. I work for a product called Terraform, as you just found out. How many of you actually found out about HashiCorp through Vagrant or Packer? Yeah, so when I started on Terraform, I was like, oh, that's the same company? I had no idea. So you're not alone. So I bet you're wondering how I got here. I am a career switcher. So in tech years, I'm ancient. Don't ask me how old I am. But I had an itch. I wanted to learn how to code. So I actually come from more of the project manager / infrastructure / tech support / sysadmin background. And that's Windows and Unix. A little bit of implementation engineer thrown in for, pops and giggles. But I wanted to learn how to code, found out about women who code when I went back to Austin, and fell in love with Ruby and the fact that there are 15 ways to approach a problem and the puzzle can still be solved. And I was like, oh, I can apply that to life because I don't know what I'm doing right now. So that's how I got into coding. Guess you could say I'm a people person, as evidenced by the client-facing types of things that I tend to do. So I wanted to jump into the open source side of things. So I knew I wanted to work with the open source stuff because I'm big on helping people. I used to teach math. Don't ask me anything about fractions. I thought it was cool that I could provide things for people to improve upon, I guess you could say. I thought my previous customer experience and the client-facing skills would prepare me, even though the world was new to me, because it's like working in a restaurant and you're a server and it's the first Friday night by yourself and they throw you to the wolves. And that's what open source ended up being like, because I had no idea. Being a customer or a consumer, as well as someone that provides the service, we tend to be a little bit self-entitled at times because we want things done. And I understand that. But a lot of times, open source people or maintainers are not being paid. And this is their side job, or this is something that they do for fun. Or like me, I absolutely love the Notion app, and so I keep throwing ideas at stuff that I can't actually fix, but they're happy to get the feedback. So how can you and I be effective at communicating with the community? So there are a few guidelines here. We've got the README, we've got the code of conduct, and we've got contributing guides and or guidelines. And you would think that most of these would be self-explanatory because we're all nice people. We know how to treat people, except when we get mad. So let's go look at what these are. A README basically just tells you what the project does, why the project is useful, how can I get started, who do I contact, where do I go? And that's usually the first thing that you hit when you go to any project repo. Code of conduct pretty much tells you what it is. It tells you how to engage the community. It tries to provide an inclusive environment for all of us to collaborate in. And in case there are those little snazzy little issues, because we're not Reddit, it tells you how to interact with everyone else. And the contributing guides, well, they tell you how to contribute to the project. That one was self-explanatory. But we'll talk about that one a little bit more later. Also, I will heavily use Octocats in this entire thing because we use GitHub at work. The images were free, and they're kind of cute. Putting that out there. All right, so that contributing guide. This was going to show you a video that doesn't like me, but if you look at this, can you tell where the contributing guide is? Or if you normally go to the repo, can you tell where the contributing guide is? Not easily. And that was the problem. So the README is the first thing that you see when you get up there. It's a markdown file. You scroll down. It tells you everything you need to know about the project. There's this little stinky little .github folder that no one ever likes to click in. That's usually at the top of the repo because it's technically a little hidden folder. That's your friend. That's like your first aid kit for your repo. It's going to hold all your templates. It's going to hold your contributing guide, issue templates, code of conduct, bug report template, that kind of thing. And this is what it looks like. So with ours, specific to AWS, we have a folder that actually holds our bug report, our question template, and our actual issue template. And we'll look at that a little bit more later. But as you can see, it tells you what the maintaining guide looks at, where to find support, and that's where our little code of conduct markdown file is. So, ready to work. How do I do that, Tracy? I didn't know, so I'm going to tell you what I figured out. There are different types of things that you can work on. You don't necessarily have to do code to contribute, and there's a big slide that's going to yell that at you in like 3 minutes. But you can work on documentation. If you find a typo, if the code block is like 2 spaces off, fix it. Submit a pull request, because I probably won't see it. Features. If you decide that, like I said, I had an idea for the subheading for Notion, and a month later, they were like, thank you for saying that. We implemented that, and I was screaming all over Twitter. Features are something that you can try. Bugs are something you can try, and we always find bugs, but a lot of times we don't want to talk about them, and if we do, we don't really want to fix them. If you don't write anything else down from this talk, please write that down. You do not have to code. I'm telling you, I will forget to italicize something. I'm going to forget to turn something red. I'm going to forget that my 3 backticks should have had an HCL beside it instead of a JS. Do that for us, because there are tons of things that we won't get to or that we just don't see. And for my own experience, I just had to learn Go in the past year, and I used something called Learn Go with Tests by Chris James. It is literally a work in progress. He will tell you to help. And I, of course, was like, he would never accept a pull request from little old me because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I found where he forgot a period after something, and he forgot a semicolon, and like 2 hours later, he had merged it. Whoa! All right, I'll try something else. And so about a month later down the line, I was like, hey, you know, we should probably rearrange all these chapter headings because this book is good, but I have no idea where the heck I am at any point in a given time. He was like, that's a good idea. You should probably work on that. I was like, yes. All right, this guy listens, and he shouts you out on Twitter when he does it. So I threw something else in there. I was like, well, maybe we should reword that because I'm new and I don't know what I'm doing, but if I'm following you, you know what you're doing, so we need to talk. And he said, yes, and he merged that. So trust me, they like it. He has an idea. He's putting it on paper or digital paper, but he just knows he wants to get the idea out there. He's not going to remember everything that he's typed. He's not going to always review it. And if he does, 500,000 pairs of eyes are better than one. Really? All right. Hold, please. All right, so let's talk about labels. Sorry, Mean Girls had to do it. And this will be a quickie one, but labels are the things that help you know what you want to work on. AWS, I think, has 174 labels. Every resource that you can think of that AWS decided to come up with at 3 o'clock in the morning when they took a bathroom break, we probably have it in the label list. Sorry, AWS, it's the truth. But labels are just this. They tell you, they help you organize things. If you have documentation, you know you want to work on documentation and you're not good with code, go click on documentation and find all of the things that need documentation fixes. If you know that you want a good first issue because you're kind of ready to code, go look for a good first issue or a help wanted issue. Our labels look a lot like these. We like to color code a lot in the ecosystem. You'll see a lot of purples and blues. It's nice and calming. It doesn't prepare you for the scary thing that you're about to get into. And then more about the good first issues. So on the ecosystem side, I have, I guess you could say, the privilege or the scary side of things, to actually have had my hand in 3 different providers. So you might see my name in AWS, you might see my name on the Azure provider, and you might see my name on the GitHub provider. 2 of those are managed by the company, maintained by the company. 1 of those is not. If I do not get to your GitHub issue, do not beat me up. It takes a little time. But if there are things that you can't find in our repo, admittedly, sometimes the AWS things, we do have help wanted and good first issues, but sometimes they're more difficult if you don't know what AWS is about, or you're not really familiar with how Terraform structures things. Azure has a lot of help wanted that are focused around documentation. GitHub, I'm just gonna put everything as help wanted because I need your help. I'm just gonna let you know. But if you can't find anything in our repo, you can do something like 24 pull requests, which happens every Christmas. You can do something like Hacktoberfest, which is a really good way to find open source repos and find new stuff to work on. And a lot of the things are usually easy. A lot of open source projects out there don't have any documentation at all. So they want someone that's passionate about the project to help. And then you can also look on Twitter or in GitHub at like the first timers only repos. All right, so we're here. Where do I start? Let's go talk more about that contributing guide. Contributing guide, as I showed you, that little .github directory may not be the easiest to find, but it's the thing you need when you need it. So what are the contributing guides and guidelines good for? So for the owners, contributing guidelines are a way to communicate about how you should contribute. And for the contributors, all of you wonderful people, the guidelines help them verify or help you verify what you're submitting and make sure that you're submitting well-formed pull requests and opening useful issues. And also the black cats will show up again because they're like my new favorite thing. But ultimately, for both owners and contributors, contribution guidelines save time and hassles caused by improperly created pull requests and or the issues that have to be rejected and resubmitted. Make a note of that. So I got to help with that contributing guide that it doesn't want you to see, but I'm very proud of it. I'll show you a screenshot in a second. But I can honestly say the AWS provider has a very, very robust, that's a nice way of putting it, a very robust contributing guide that tells you pretty much exactly what you need to know. If you follow those guidelines and you follow those checklists, 9 times out of 10, your stuff will get reviewed. That's not to say it will immediately get merged and or accepted, but if you do all the right things, you have a better chance. And that's what it looks like if you all want to make a note of where to find it. So let's talk about the templates that we spoke about earlier. So this is the path to your first issue and or pull requests. This is what you need to ask yourself. All right, so was I using something and I found a bug and I know how to fix it? Or do I just want to submit the issue and hope somebody else fixes it? Or have I seen an issue that, oh my God, I actually know how to fix that? So the only thing that I ask, or one of the only things that I ask, is if you're submitting an issue, please follow the templates. They're not there for UI or UX reasons, because to be honest, they're pretty plain. But anything that we ask you for, please give us that info. If it asks you for documentation or the log or the debug or the stack trace or anything, give it to us, even if you do not want to, because any time that you do not spend helping us will not let us help you. We're not doing it to be mean. The other thing is, if you find an issue that you're pretty sure that you can fix, check to see if anyone is assigned to it. So for me, like this is my first year, and to be honest, when I started, I was an apprentice. So things would get assigned to me based on things that my boss or coworkers, Patty, would decide that, that I could actually work on. This is, in the past week, a very, very enthusiastic contributor has taken 3 of my assigned things. And at first, of course, the first thing you think of is, why is he doing that? He's being mean for no reason at all. Like, I'm going to show him. He's not going to get through it. And then you have to kind of like go, okay, I'll be an adult about this. This is someone that's probably new. They've gotten into a groove. They've decided, oh, I can do these things. Let me do it. So if you see someone assigned, or even if you don't, to be completely honest, pop in a comment and say, hey, look, I'm new. I really, really want to work on this. Has anyone grabbed it? Or if not, I'll grab it. And that way no one will try to take it from you. Because if you're in AWS and you start working on a resource and it's been 2 weeks that you've been working on these resources and they're brand new, and you get in and someone else has thrown in a PR at the same time as you, that's not up to me. So I'd rather you not have to do double work or work that might not be appreciated. All right, so if you go into the contributing guide and you've never actually done a PR, we're really good, and I can say this throughout ecosystem. I think a couple other repos are pretty good about this as well. But you'll notice we actually link you to ways to do it. So a lot of those links will take you straight to GitHub Help or the GitHub Labs that will actually walk you through creating your first pull requests, best practices, what you need to do, how to set up that branch, how to get that branch merged, that kind of thing. The other thing about the contributing guide, if you scroll down, you will actually see that we have checkboxes. Use those checkboxes to make sure that you're hitting everything that you need to hit. I really want your stuff to get merged. That's less stuff that I have to do. Well, let me rephrase that. It's less stuff that I have to do when I could focus on something else. That might be I don't want to say a better use of my time, because reviewing things, I'm still learning how to review things properly myself. And that's what they look like. And it even goes down, that includes issue templates and feature requests all have checkboxes. But the thing I wanted to point out that I don't think is on here is we require acceptance testing. That's not something that we're suggesting. We really do require the acceptance testing. So if you post those results, that will help us not have to go in the background and rerun tests, especially if we're in a different environment, because we might not be able to reproduce whatever you're having, what issues that you are or are having. So the actual Terraform repo actually has over 1,100 issues as of this morning. And in some repos, like the provider's repos, the AWS provider number keeps going up. I'll get to that in a second as to the why. AWS currently has 2,100 issues as of this morning. I didn't check Google and Azure. They're not as high, but they still have more than they probably should. When I started on AWS a year ago, we had 1,600. AWS is a very popular provider. Google Cloud Provider is very popular. Azure is very popular. They're known as our big three. However, I need you all to know, big products do not equal big engineering teams. A lot of people forget HashiCorp is a startup. We're still considered a startup. I forgot in the keynote who exactly said it, but we just hit 600 employees, and I guarantee not all of those are engineers. Packer and Vagrant, some of your favorite stuff, they have 2 engineers dedicated to them apiece. If someone is off, and I asked permission to say that because I wasn't going to say it. They was like, no, tell them. I was like, all right. Imagine if someone has to take off for 2 weeks. Imagine if someone is not there. And you've got a full repo of issues and one person working on those issues. AWS, Google, Azure, to be completely honest, with those 2,100 issues and those 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1,000 issues, we've routinely only had 1 or 2 engineers ourselves. Again, we're a startup. It's an engineering group. There aren't that many people. And especially for those groups that are open source, that are working on their projects in their spare time, and it becomes popular, it's probably one person working on it after work while they're trying to take care of the kids or, that kind of thing. So be respectful of the open source projects that you want to contribute to, because you forget you have no idea what it looks like on the other side or why they haven't responded immediately or why they haven't emerged immediately. You can probably go through our repo and find some of the less friendly people, but we're usually respectful about how we talk to them and say, hey, I get it, but you also didn't give us all of the reproducible stuff that we needed in the first place. All right, so seeking help. What happens when you're stuck? I said that Friday because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. This is still a learning experience for me. As Terraform grows and changes, or the company grows and changes, it's a learning experience, pardon me, for a lot of people. A lot of times we just don't know what's going on, and we got to break it and patch it and try it and get feedback from you all before we know that what's going to work. Don't do like I did in the event you decide to contribute or you want to contribute and you don't know how, and don't ask for help. Matt's not even my manager, and I blew his DMs up in Slack about, oh my God, I don't know how to ask this question. I feel so stupid. Why is no one helping me? We're a small team. Not everybody can reach out. If you don't raise your hand and ask for help, no one knows that you need help. And I can honestly say we have some really nice contributors. And there are avenues for asking for help that are not just like on the World Wide Web. So we have things like discuss.hashicorp.com. So we used to have, again, I think this was mentioned in the keynote, we used to have 3 or 4 avenues that you could jump onto if you wanted help and needed help from someone. And we've cut the majority of those in favor of the community forum, which is still pretty new, but if I close, and I'm going to tell you now, if I close your question, it's because I want you to go to the community forum and ask it. Because it's a good place to ask for help, and there's probably someone else that's trying to do that new resource or hit the same bug that you hit that didn't realize it was really a bug until you said something about it. Another place to go is Reddit. Reddit has a pretty active Terraform subreddit. They also have a very active AWS. The AWS subreddit is really, really active. They get a little bit angry in there. But I understand. But Reddit is actually a really good place for a lot of our products. Just go to the relevant subreddit and hey, that's it. And then Stack Exchange, even if you don't want to talk in there, your answer is probably already there. And if you respond, they're probably going to just jump down your throat anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Just take the answer and run. And there are others, but whatever project you're contributing to will typically tell you how to find help. So, if you don't write anything else down, for the second thing that you definitely need to write down, write it down, put it on a Post-it where I have mine right above my desk or on top of my monitor so I can see it every day so I can remember that I'm not stupid, I'm frustrated. Things will not always go the way that you want them to, no matter how passionate you are about getting said thing done. Like I said, I'm an old in tech career switcher that in her oldness became an apprentice. I'm 39 years old. There is no way in the world that I would think that I would have the word apprentice in front of my name, knowing that I've got managerial skills and project management skills and senior this and senior that on the thing. And I decided that I was bored one day and I did not like my life and hey, I'm gonna try this. Things happen. You're not stupid because they happen. You're just frustrated. Take a walk, come back, ask someone for help. You'd be surprised if a new set of eyes will do for you. So, what have we learned? And yes, this is going to be short. I'm going to give you some time to go sneak and get lunch before everyone else. Read the friggin' documentation, because I didn't want to write what the F was for. No contribution is too big or too small. And I know it sounds like I'm blabbing. I absolutely love the space I'm in. I love my team. I love the people I get to talk to every day. They will be the first to tell you that, hey, Tracy, I saw that 2 weeks ago, and I totally forgot that I needed a period, and I needed to take that data source and rename it as a resource, and I copy-pasted the wrong thing. Thank you for fixing that. That's something else that someone else doesn't have to do, that I have the bandwidth that I can do. Like I said, documentation, bug fixes, features. Try it. If you don't try it, you don't know if it's right or wrong. Ask for help. We've already talked about that. And you are absolutely not stupid. Those are like my basic takeaways. We are hiring. This is not a recruiting effort. This is one of those things where I'm going to say, if you find that you like contributing so much, try it. If you don't apply for it, you never know if you get it, because I never thought I'd be up here a year ago. And that's it. You all are a very enjoyable crowd. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate that.